Today we're going to be talking about evaluating statistical claims. Now these are worth about 10 points on your average SAT, so not the biggest concept, but definitely worth knowing. Our approach to these is going to be to identify evaluating statistical claims problems. We're going to break down the question, we're going to build a formula to solve evaluating statistical claims problems, and we're going to solve a practice question together. So how do you identify this concept? Well, these questions are going to ask you about sampling. So if you hear something about sampling, it's most likely this concept. And they'll often ask you about generalizing results and sampling methods. Now we're going to take a second to talk about both of these because they're very important you understand on the SAT. So a good sampling method is going to have two attributes. It's going to be random, and what we mean by random is that every member of your target population has the same chance of being chosen as every other member, and it's going to be representative. And what we mean by representative is that the sample covers your entire target population. So an example of a population that wouldn't be representative would be if we're trying to poll all voters, if we just poll people with cell phones, then we're excluding people who don't have cell phones, and that's not going to be representative of the full population. Another way you couldn't be representative is if you're trying to poll your school and you only poll the first 100 people that come in the door at the beginning of the day, because these people could have something in common that the other people don't have in common and could give you biased results on your sample. Now, generalizing results from your sample, you can generalize to the population that you sampled from. So for example, if you took a random sample from your high school, then you can generalize the results from your sample to your entire high school. You could not, however, generalize the results to your district because you only pulled from one high school, and so your sample would not have been representative. So let's look at the formula we're going to use for evaluating statistical claims problems. Step number 1, we're going to understand the sampling. Step number 2, we're going to see what the question is asking. And then step number 3, we're going to use our knowledge of good sampling to find the correct answer. So here's an example question. Step number 1, we're going to understand the sampling. So let's read the question. A new study claims that drinking green tea reduces the risk of heart disease. The study followed 1,000 participants for 10 years. Which of the following would be the most important to consider when evaluating the validity of this claim? Okay, and so the sampling is of people who are drinking green tea, and we're looking at the risk of heart disease. So what's the question asking? Well, it's asking what would be most important to consider when evaluating the validity of this claim. So now let's read through our answer choices and see which one is the most important. So choice A, the type of mug used to drink the tea. I don't think the mug would really matter, and so I'm going to X that one out. B, the temperature of the tea. Now, the temperature could matter because maybe hot drinks and cold drinks have different effects on the risk of heart disease, so I'm going to put a question mark here, and we can come back to it. Choice number C, the brand of the tea. I think this is similar to B. Maybe the brand matters, maybe some is more high quality than others, but I'm not positive this one's right. Choice D, the presence of other risk factors for heart disease among participants. Well, this one seems really important because if we know other risk factors for heart disease, this will definitely affect how our study is done, and knowing this will affect how we conclude on whether we reduced heart disease or not. And so this one seems very important to me. I think D is correct, and these two seem less important. And D is correct because it's the most important, even though the other ones could matter. So D is a correct answer. So since this one's probably just sampling methods, Desmos might not be the most useful, but keep it in the back of your mind because sometimes it's more useful than you'd think. Good luck on this concept.